Welcome to the Ultimate Sports Blog Podcast. Today is Tuesday, December 18th, 2018. Today I'm going to recap last night's Monday Night Football game between the Saints and the Panthers, which was not a good game whatsoever. It was a messy game. It was entertaining, but it was just messy all around. College basketball, NBA, NHL. The Suns cutting Austin Rivers after trading for him in the Trevor Ariza deal. NFL Power Rankings. Guess the lines. Michael Brantley signs. A bowl pick for tonight's bowl game between UAB and Northern Illinois. And my best bet of the day. Here we go. NFL. The Saints defeat the Panthers by an ugly score of 12-9. And it was, like I said, it just wasn't a good game at all. Drew Brees did not play well. I think he played his way out of the MVP. And the Panthers played their way out of the playoff hunt as New Orleans improves to 12-2. Carolina drops to 6-8. Drew Brees, 23 of 35, 203 yards and an interception. Cam Newton, 16 of 29, 131 yards and an interception. Christian McCaffrey actually threw a touchdown pass to start the game to Chris Manhertz. And Carolina got its other points on what should have been a 2-point conversion for the Saints, and Drew Brees threw what I called a pick two. College hoops. Some interesting results last night. Number 11, Florida State defeats Southeast Missouri State 85-68. Florida State improves to 9-1. Southeast Missouri State drops to 5-7. Wake Forest defeats Davidson 63-67. Wake 6-3. Davidson's 8-3. Vanderbilt defeats number 18 Arizona State 81-65. Great win for Vanderbilt. They're 7-2. Arizona State drops to 8-2. Cornell defeats Longwood 70-64. Cornell is 5-5. Longwood is 8-5. High Point defeats North Carolina Wesleyan 90-85. High Point is now 6-5. Morgan State defeats Wilmington, Delaware 85-78. Morgan State is now 5-5. Gardner-Webb upsets Georgia Tech 79-69. Georgia Tech loses a bye game. That is not good. Weber State is 8-5. Georgia Tech drops to 5-4. Lipscomb defeats Covenant 119-48. Lipscomb is now 8-3. Samford defeats Houston Baptist 85-61. Samford is 10-2. Houston Baptist drops to 3-6. Tulane defeats Texas Southern 77-70. Tulane 4-6, Texas Southern 4-7. Ball State defeats Valparaiso 77-61. Ball State 7-4, Valparaiso 6-5. Utah defeats Florida A&M 93-64. Utah 5-5, Florida A&M 3-9. Drake defeats SIU Edwardsville 79-66. Drake 7-2, SIU Edwardsville 2-6. UIC defeats Incarnate Word 63-57. UIC 5-7, Incarnate Word 5-7. UTSA defeats Bethany 101-77. UTSA is now 4-7. Cal Baptist defeats Southeast Louisiana 73-52. Cal Baptist 7-3. Southeast Louisiana 4-6. Northwestern defeats Chicago State 88-46. Northwestern 8-3. Chicago State 3-10. New Mexico State defeats Northern Colorado 74-62. New Mexico State 8-2. Northern Colorado 6-3. Montana defeats North Dakota State 60-53. Montana 6-3. North Dakota State 4-8. Northern Illinois defeats Western Illinois 91-76. Northern Illinois 6-4. Western Illinois 4-8. Oregon State defeats Pepperdine 82-67. Oregon State 7-3. Pepperdine 6-6. Seattle defeats Portland 67-56. Seattle 10-3. Portland 6-7. Washington State defeats Rider 94-80. Washington State 6-3. Rider 4-4. Tonight's slate at 6 o'clock you have Princeton number 2 Duke. Florida A&M against Oregon. 6:30, Appalachian State, Georgetown. 7 o'clock, Youngstown State, number 15, Ohio State. Charleston Southern against Clemson. Binghamton, Notre Dame. Xavier, Missouri. Oakland, Georgia. Albany, Providence. Charleston, Siena. Drexel, UConn. Tennessee, Akron. South Florida, FIU. St. Bonaventure, Vermont. Alon, Kennesaw State. UNC Asheville, Stetson. Mount St. Mary's, American. The Citadel, Campbell. Radford, UNC Greensboro. Indiana, Purdue. Purdue, Fort Wayne. St. Francis, Pennsylvania hosts Franciscan. Morehead State at Wright State. East Carolina at Charlotte at 7:30. Louisiana and McNeese. Bradley, Georgia Southern. Alabama State, Sam Houston State. Louisiana College, Northwestern State. Number 14, Buffalo at Syracuse. Liberty, Alabama. These are now 8 o'clock games. Mercer, Florida. South Dakota at number 1, Kansas. Rice, UT, Rio Grande. Nichols, UL Monroe. Morehead State, Arkansas State. Alcorn State, UAB. Evansville, Murray State. Benedictine and Loyola, Chicago. William Baptist, New Orleans. 8:15, North Alabama, Jacksonville State. 8:30, Presbyterian, Butler. Stephen F. Austin, Baylor. Chattanooga, UT Martin. Huss, Till, and Texas A&M, Corpus Christi. 9 o'clock, Big Ten Network. Western Carolina at number 23, Iowa. Creighton at Oklahoma. How come Oklahoma's not ranked? I think that's ridiculous. That should be the case. Oklahoma should be ranked. That is a disgrace to the Sooners and Lon Kruger that they're not ranked. North Dakota at number 20, Marquette. Texas Arlington at number 8, Gonzaga. Montana State, Denver. North Texas, New Mexico. South Dakota State, Eastern Washington. 10 o'clock, USC Santa Clara. Cal Poly, CSU Bakersfield. And San Jose State against Stanford. NBA last night. The Bucks defeat the Pistons 107-104. The Bucks improved to 29. Detroit drops to 14-14. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 32 points, 12 boards, 5 assists. Chris Middleton, 22 points and 6 assists. Eric Bledsoe had 17 with 9 assists. Tony Snell had 12. Their bench didn't do anything. Reggie Bullock had 24. Reggie Jackson had 11. Andre Drummond had 10 with 14 boards. Blake Griffin had 19 with 10 boards. Stanley Johnson off the bench had 20. The Suns defeat the Knicks 128-110, and including outscoring them 41-17 in the third quarter, which willed them to their second road win of the year. They're 7-24. The Knicks dropped to 9-23. Devin Booker, 38 points with 7 boards. TJ Warren had 26. DeAndre Ayton had 21 points and 13 boards. Rashawn Holmes had 13 off the bench. Josh Jackson had 14 off the bench. Meanwhile, for New York, Emmanuel Mudiay, 32 points, 6 boards, 6 assists. Courtney Lee had 12. Enes Kanter, 13 with 10 boards. Kevin Knox had 17. Off the bench, Mario Hezonja had 14. Tim Hardaway Jr. did not play due to a right heel injury. The Rockets defeat the Jazz 102-97. Houston 15-14. Utah drops to 14-17. James Harden, 47 points, 6 boards, and 5 assists. Eric Gordon had 12. PJ Tucker had 16. Chris Paul had 11. Meanwhile, for Utah, Donovan Mitchell had 23 with 8 boards. Ricky Rubio had 12. Rudy Gobert had 18 with 13 boards. Jay Crowder had 14. The Timberwolves defeat the Kings 132-105. The Timberwolves are 14-16. Sacramento drops to 16-14. Andrew Wiggins had 17. Karl Anthony Towns had 14 with 14 boards. Derrick Rose had 13 with 11 assists. Robert Covington had 13. Taj Gibson had 12 with 10 boards. Off the bench, Dario Saric had 12. Gorgie Deng had 15. And Tyus Jones and Josh Okogie each had 10. Jeff Teague did not play due to a left ankle injury. The Thunder defeated the Bulls 121-96. OKC 19-10. Chicago 7-24. Paul George 24 points and 8 boards. Jeremy Grant had 13. Steven Adams had 19 with 8 boards. Russell Westbrook, 13 points, 16 boards, 11 assists. Dennis Schroeder had 18 off the bench. Hamidou Diallo had 10 off the bench. Lauri Markkanen had 16 and 15 boards. Chris Dunn had 12. Bobby Portis off the bench had 16, and Cam Payne off the bench had 11. The Spurs defeat the 76ers 123-96. San Antonio is playing great basketball right now. They're 16 and 15. Philly drops to 20 and 12. Rudy Gay had 21 points. DeMar DeRozan had 20 points, 6 boards, 7 assists. LaMarcus Aldridge had 20 points and 10 boards. Off the bench, Davis Bertans had 16, including 3 3-pointers. Ben Simmons and J.J. Redick each had 16. Joel Embiid had 13 with 11 boards. Wilson Chandler had 10. Mike Muscala off the bench had 11. Shake Milton had 10 off the bench. The Warriors defeat the Grizzlies 110-93. Ho-hum, another great win for Golden State. They're 21 and 10. Memphis 16 and 14. Kevin Durant had 23. Steph Curry had 20 with 7 boards. Klay Thompson had 16. Jonas Jerebko off the bench had 10. Andre Iguodala off the bench had 10. Marc Gasol had 15. Kyle Anderson had 14. Garrett Temple had 13. Mike Conley didn't play tonight. Omar Caspi off the bench had 20. The Trailblazers defeat the Clippers 131-127. Great win for Portland. They're 17 and 13. So are the Clippers. Damian Lillard had 39. CJ McCollum had 27. Josef Nurkic had 20. Mo Harkless had 13. Evan Turner had 10 off the bench. Danilo Gallinari had 22. Tobias Harris had 39. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 24. Montrezl Harrell off the bench had 15. Patrick Beverley off the bench had 10. Tonight's slate, you have 4 games only. 7 o'clock, Cavaliers Pacers. 7:30, Wizards Hawks. NBA TV, Lakers Nets. 9 o'clock, Mavericks Nuggets. NHL, last night, only 5 games on the board. The Ducks defeated the Penguins 4-2 as the Ducks improved to 19-11-5. Pittsburgh drops to 15-12-6. Good road win for Anaheim. Number 1 star of the game with a goal, Andrej Kasi. Number 2 star of the game with a goal and assist, Ryan Getzlaf. Number 3 star of the game with 28 saves on 30 shots, John Gibson. The Blue Jackets defeat the Golden Knights 1-0. Good win for Columbus. 18-12-3 in the year. Vegas drops to 19-15-2. Number 1 star of the game with the lone goal of the game, Nick Foligno. Number 2 star of the game with 28 saves on 28 shots, Sergei Bobrovsky. Number 3 star of the game with 30 saves on 31 shots, Malcolm Subban. The Bruins defeat the Canadiens 4-0. The Bruins are 18-12-4. Montreal 17-12-5. Number 1 star of the game with 2 assists, David Pastrnak. Number 2 star of the game with 1 goal, Brad Marchand. And the number 3 star of the game with the goal and assist, Colby Cave. The Sens defeat the Predators 3-4 in overtime. Ottawa improves to 15-16-4. Nashville 22-10-2. Number 1 star of the game with the goal, Thomas Chabot. Number 2 star of the game with 2 assists, Mark Stone. Number 3 star of the game with the goal, Brady Tkachuk. The Islanders defeat the Avalanche 4-1. Great win for the Islanders. 16-12-4 in the year. Colorado drops to 18-10-6. Number 1 star of the game with 30 saves on 31 shots, Thomas Greiss. Number 2 star of the game with the goal and assist, Anders Lee. Number 3 star of the game with the goal, Gabriel Landeskog. Tonight's slate is bigger. At 7 o'clock, you have the Ducks at the Rangers, the Panthers at the Sabres, the Maple Leafs at the Devils, the Red Wings at the Flyers. 8 o'clock, Sharks Wild. 8:30, NBC Sports Network, Predators Blackhawks. Yes, the Predators on the second of a back-to-back, but they are not losing to the Chicago Blackhawks. Flames Stars, 9 o'clock, Blues Oilers, Islanders Coyotes, 10 o'clock, Lightning Canucks, and 10:30, Jets Kings. The Suns released Austin Rivers after initially trading for him in the deal that sent Trevor Ariza to Washington. They felt that Rivers was better suited on a team that was pursuing a playoff positioning. That tells you all you need to know about the Suns. Were just god-awful. Although they had a good performance last night at MSG, it was really one good quarter that led them to a win. The Knicks were tanking themselves by sitting Hardaway Jr. in that game and letting the Suns do whatever they want on the offensive end. But the Suns do need a point guard, and so that's what makes this release a little surprising. Kelly Oubre was the other get in the trade, and he really is a solid player, and I think the Wizards could regret giving up Oubre down the road. He can definitely become what Ariza is, except he has more upside than what Ariza is right now. So the Suns are really banking on Oubre making a leap into an above-average starter or an above-average sixth man, which he really was on the Wizards, and then he'd play crunch time for the Wiz as well. But Austin Rivers, a lot of people seem to think that he's going to end up with the Philadelphia 76ers. They could use another guard off the bench. Rivers would be a nice fit. Obviously, the Clippers can't be ruled out due to his father being the head coach there, and plus he played for the Clippers for a while as well. So don't rule them out. Also, another interesting team that may use him would be Portland as like a third guard off the bench. I can't see the Lakers going after him unless Rajon Rondo has a couple setbacks. But I think things are going in the right direction with Rondo. So that should be very interesting. Like I said, even Golden State could use like a upgrade at backup point guard, although they like Quentin Cook. And he has provided some good but some bad. NFL Power Rankings. My theme to this one is the 3-letter word game. And some of them I'll explain after I give out the 3-worded phrases. As I do each and every week, I do this. I go from 32 to 1. Number 32, the Arizona Cardinals. Worst rookie quarterback. Number 31, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Need a quarterback. 30, the New York Giants. What's the direction? 29, Josh Allen improving. 28, New York Jets. Need new coach. 27, Washington Redskins are still breathing. And what I mean by that is because they're still alive in the playoffs contention. It's in at 7-7. 26, Tampa Bay Bucks. Goodbye, Dirk Cutter. 25, the Oakland Raiders. Sucker bets suck. They were getting 3.5 in Cincinnati, and everybody thought they were going to win that game outright and made a case for Derek Carr and how he was playing better. But no, Vegas sucked us all into picking the Raiders by putting that line at Bengals -3 or 3.5, depending on what you got it at. But no, the Bengals go out and win by double digits. 24, the Detroit Lions. Empty stats Stafford. It feels that way every year now. How Matthew Stafford puts such great stats up always in losing efforts. Or when he has a bad game, people notice it. And he was the number 1 overall pick. He's one of the highest paid players in the league. But he certainly has not played like one. 23, the Atlanta Falcons. About time offense. 22, the Cincinnati Bengals. Still have talent. 21, San Francisco 49ers. December winners again. They won a lot of games in December last year, and it looks to be the case again this year. 20, the Green Bay Packers. No more excuses. When this new head coach comes in, and you need it to be somebody good if you're Green Bay, because you have what many feel is the best quarterback in the league on your team, if not the best, certainly the most talented. And it's just sickening that Rodgers only has one Super Bowl in his life. Number 19 is the Denver Broncos. Goodbye, Vance Joseph. That loss hopefully cost him his job because he is abominable. 18, the Carolina Panthers. Goodbye, Ron Rivera. Quote-unquote, Riverboat Ron, no more. He's going to be fired at the end of the year because of this collapse. 17, the Miami Dolphins. One big fraud. That's what they are. They lost 41-17 to a Minnesota Vikings team that hasn't beaten anybody good this year yet. And the Miami Dolphins are certainly the most overrated team in football. It's not even close. I'm talking about the teams that are still alive for the playoffs. 16, the Cleveland Browns. Best rookie quarterback. 15, the Philadelphia Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly. I say that because they're still alive. They're flying. They're not dead. Number 14, the Tennessee Titans. Henry, a beast. Derrick Henry, to me, is the most underrated running back in the game. He single-handedly is the reason why that offense looks good on occasion. Marcus Mariota, at times, it seems so pedestrian. Although it's not his fault that his tight end's out for the year and other weapons aren't stepping up. But Henry is just so good. 13, the Minnesota Vikings. No good wins. 12, the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar holds back. I really think Lamar Jackson is going to be the reason why this team doesn't make the playoffs. I feel like he's holding them back. And to me, all he does is just run, and he's not that great of a passer, although what he did in that Chiefs game was impressive. But to me, when it's all said and done, the Ravens are going to look back and say, yeah, Joe Flacco's past his prime, but did we take the right quarterback? But I'm not saying Lamar Jackson's a bust. I'm just saying that I just don't think he's what the Ravens think he is. 11, the Dallas Cowboys. Still division favorites. 10, Seattle Seahawks. One bad game, which was last week against the Niners, and I think they'll move on from that. 9, the Indianapolis Colts. Luck is back on their side. Andrew Luck has just been amazing this year. To me, he's a no-brainer for comeback player of the year. 8, the New England Patriots. Wild card weekend. This team is heading for wild card weekend. 7, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Defense masks Tomlin. Mike Tomlin yet again coached the final few minutes very not so good, using weird timeouts and whatnot. But their defense making big stops down the stretch certainly masked the wrongdoings of Mike Tomlin in a big game. Number 6 is the Houston Texans. Deshaun is back. Number 5, the Chicago Bears. One big liability. I just think that Mitch Trubisky is eventually going to hold this team back from making a Super Bowl. I think he is the next quarterback that's on a decent team that is going to get too much credit for the team's success. The Bears feel like this year's the Jaguars from last year. And obviously, I think that Mitch Trubisky is another Blake Bortles. 4, the Los Angeles Rams. What the heck? This team was rolling, only had one loss, and now they lose back-to-back games against what I feel are inferior opponents in the Bears and the Eagles. Number 3, the New Orleans Saints. Something's not right. I watched them these past 3 weeks. Ever since that Cowboy game, this team's never been the same. Their offense has become predictable. They're playing down to their competition, most notably the Bucs and the Panthers in their division. Granted, they were on the road. Maybe it's the Saints are not the same team at home as they are on the road thing. But we will see. To the Kansas City Chiefs, Reed blows again. I don't think Andy Reid coached the end of that game against the Chargers well at all. And the Chargers take advantage, and they're number 1. Rivers for MVP. Why not? Why not? He's been unbelievable this year. Going for 2 on the road against the division rival was just phenomenal in that spot. I don't love going for 2 because in case you don't get it, then it looks like a bad move. But it worked out. Credit Anthony Lynn, but why not Phillip Rivers for MVP? Guess the lines for week number 16, which is unbelievable. There's no Thursday night game this week. There is 2 Saturday games yet again. The Redskins are at the Titans. That's the 4 o'clock game. I have the Titans by 12.5. Titans are -10. The Ravens at the Chargers. I have Chargers by 7. Chargers are only favored by 4.5. That's weird. Bengals at the Browns. Now we're in the Sunday slate. Browns -6.5, and it's Browns -6.5, so correct pick by me. Buccaneers at the Cowboys. I have Cowboys by 9.5, and the Cowboys are favored by 7. The Vikings at the Lions. I have Vikings by 4.5, and that's what it is. Giants at the Colts. I have the Colts by 7, and the Colts are laying 9.5, which I think is way too high. The Giants were due for a stink game, and the Colts are playing great right now, so maybe they're judging the Giants on that Titans game, and they think that Odell Beckham's going to be out again. Jaguars at the Dolphins. I have the Dolphins by 5. It's Dolphins by 5.5. Right now, it's the other way around. I guess 5.5, and it's 5. Bills at the Patriots. Patriots by 10.5. It's Pats by 12.5. The Packers at the Jets. I have the Packers by 6. And believe it or not, the Packers are only laying 3. That's a disgrace. I don't think that the Packers should be that low of a favorite against a team like the Jets. The Texans are at the Eagles. I have the Texans by 4. Texans by 3.5 is the line. Falcons at the Panthers. I have the Panthers by 4.5, and the Panthers are favored by 3.5. The Rams at the Cardinals. I have the Rams by 11.5. Rams by 13.5. The Bears at the 49ers. And I have the Bears by 3.5. That's what the line is. The Steelers are at the Saints. I have the Saints by 7.5. Saints are only favored by 6. I think that's low. The Chiefs at the Seahawks. I have the Seahawks favored by 1.5. The Chiefs are favored by 2.5. I think the wrong team's favored here. I'm sorry. Seattle should not be a home underdog against anybody. That is a rule, and it's the truth. Considering how well Russell Wilson's playing, the 12th man, which I thought became overrated the last few years or so, because Seattle would sometimes lose at home to a random team, but not in a night game. That's the wrong team favored there, Vegas. And then the Broncos at the Raiders Monday night. I have the Broncos by 2.5, and that's what the line is. So I got a couple of these correct. Tonight there's a bowl game. You have the Boca Raton Bowl between UAB and Northern Illinois, 7 o'clock on ESPN. UAB is 10-3 on the year, 7-1 in conference play. Northern Illinois is 8-5 on the year and 6-2 in conference play. The Blazers' story from not having a team to getting its team back and it being very good is phenomenal, and they won the CSU championship game over the Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders. The Huskies pulled off an upset in the MAC championship game over the Buffalo Bulls and are a solid team themselves. I love the Blazers here with the better team, and I think they'll get the win. So the pick is UAB, and my best bet is a single bet on this game, as UAB is currently favored by 2 points, and I think they cover that with ease. So UAB -2 is the best bet of the night. And last but not least, Michael Brantley signed a 2-year, $32 million deal with the Astros. Unpopular opinion, but I'm not a huge fan of Michael Brantley. To me, he's only had one wow type of season, which was in 2014. Ever since, he's been injury prone. He was solid last year, but he's not the same guy from 2014. And that guy is always on the DL. It'll be a good signing if he stays healthy and produces like he did a year ago, but that was him in a contract year trying to get paid, and the Astros felt like he was worth what he got. And not to say it was a bad pickup per se, but I'm not a big fan of it, is what I'm trying to say. And that's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow recapping college basketball, NBA, NHL. I'm going to do power rankings in the 3-word game for the NBA tomorrow. And I'll also get into anything else that happens in the world of sports. I hope you guys have a great day, everybody.